Sometimes life lets you down and you feel that you are done. You just want a morning run because the fun is all gone. But sometimes life makes you proud when you look far and wide, when you leave the pain behind and see the brighter side. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you. Sometimes life makes you blind and you choose something bad. You just wanna cry and hide and save your face from the crowd. But sometimes life makes you see the beauty in you and me. When you look up above, there is God and there is love. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new. We're here to help you see the newness of life. We're here to help you feel your hope is so real. You got the power to see. We'll help you see the new you. TNC gives you inspiration. TNC reignites your passion. TNC starts your transformation. TNC helps you see the new you.
The New Channel. The New Channel. The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following show are those of the hosts, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the New Channel. We're here to help you see the new you. My name is Michelle Mras, and welcome to Mental Shift. Well, good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 34 of Mental Shift. And my name is Michelle Mras. Tonight, my guest is a husband, a father, a retired lieutenant colonel with 25 years of service across the 3 separate branches of the United States military. He founded Angels of America's Fallen in 2013 to help ensure the children of America's fallen military, police, fire, and emergency medical service personnel have the support they need. He developed Angels of America's Fallen as a way to proactively engage the children in healthy activities under the guidance of a coach or instructor where they could excel and develop their very own strong sense of self-worth. Please, and it's my honor to have him here, please welcome Joe Lewis.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Joe. I'm so glad you found time to stay and chat with me for a bit. I saw you at the gala, the Angel Gala, a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, Joe, I need you on.
It's a great opportunity.
Yes. Well, I want to have you explain more about what America's Fallen, Angels of America's Fallen is. And then we're going to go back to what made you start it in the first place, okay? But
Okay.
Can you explain what is Angels of America's Fallen, and why is it angels and who's fallen, just in case? We've got an international audience here.
Sure. So Angels of America's Fallen is a 501c3 nonprofit headquartered in Colorado Springs in the United States that supports children of our fallen military and first responders, so police and EMS, as you just mentioned. And it is the angels. Actually, that could be a lot of different people. It could be the fallen hero, it could be the child themselves, or it could be those who donate and support us and help us reach out and support the kids. So it kind of, whenever I was thinking of the name Angels, I really had the idea that it applied to more than just one person in this respect.
Oh, wonderful. Because there is, and you're an angel too, by the way.
Ha.
Now, you've got people saying, Helene is saying hello from Texas. Michael, my husband, says hello again, Joe. We'll see who else pops in as we go on in time. But Angels of America's Fallen is such a huge, it's a big part of the lives of the children that you are working with. Because when you say fallen, what do you mean by fallen?
I mean that their mom or dad gave all in supporting our country and our communities. So they made the ultimate sacrifice and they passed as a result of their service.
Okay. And I wanted to clarify that just in case the translation of fallen doesn't work well.
Yes. So they have passed, they died because of their service, whether it was actively in the middle of it or because of injuries they sustained or illnesses that they contracted because of their job.
Okay, much clearer for the international audience. And then now I want to ask you the serious question, because we're going to get deeper into Angels of America's Fallen, because it's a phenomenal 501c nonprofit. What got you on the path? So you had 25 years in the military. You jumped through a couple of different services.
Yes.
But what brought you to develop something like this?
It was that experience in the multiple branches of the military, because I ended up losing friends in every branch of the U.S. military. And it was always a really great guy that had very young children. Two of my friends in the Marine Corps had small children on the way that they never even got to see. They never got to meet. And so the seed was planted from seeing that the children were so very, very young. And I knew that they're missing out on the guidance and support of who was going to be a wonderful parent to them. And they don't have that opportunity because that person made the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
And so you got out of the military after 25 years, and instead of doing what most people do and go into another contracting job or whatever, you started a nonprofit?
Yes. I didn't really have the background to do this. I'm not really the person that I would have picked probably to do this, but it was something that just based on my experience, it came to me. And as I researched to find what was available for these kids when they were really young, I couldn't find something that was based on long-term commitment to their development throughout their whole childhood, to give them positive outlets so that they wouldn't become withdrawn and depressed or maybe run to the wrong crowd and make mistakes they couldn't recover from. And it was finding a gap that made me realize if I'm the one that found it, I guess I'm supposed to be the one to fill that gap. And so that's how it came about.
Fantastic. And that's the thing, is so often we see a gap and don't react. Someone else is going to do that. Someone else. Well, guess what? To the world, you are someone else. And I'm so glad you stepped up and did this, because when I met you originally, it was, I think you were on my radio show when I was on KCMJ. And then I saw you again at the National Swimming Pool Foundation.
Right.
And now I've been seeing you at the Angel Gala, and then I'm like, okay, we got to get you on my show on Mental Shift, because I've grown and Angels of America's Fallen has grown. And
Yes.
what's so beautiful about it is you're based in Colorado, but you reach everywhere in the United States.
That's correct. Yes, it's no matter where the children move to or where they may come from or go, we want to support them. In fact, we've got 2 children in South Africa right now that started in Aurora, Colorado, but chose to move there because they've got some family, and we're supporting them right here.
So if someone was listening right now and knew a family who had a fallen service or, firefighter, police officer, could they write to your page?
They could. We have a Facebook page, but they could, if they're interested in trying to get that person that they know enrolled with us, they can either direct them to the website, or they could do the enrollment for them to get the process started at least. But we do have a waiting list, so there is some time delay. Yes.
Yeah. Well, definitely. If we can have their website, put the Angels of America's Fallen website up, that would be wonderful.
And we have a Facebook page as well. And so there's a couple of different ways that people can connect with us. But and Angels of America's Fallen is a long name, so I tend to, after I've said it the first time or two, I just go to Angels because it's a lot easier to manage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and the website is AOAFallen.org.
That's correct.
Okay.
For Angels of America's Fallen.org.
Yes. Now, when you say that you assist them, and from birth to 18, when you say you assist them, what do you mean? Do you help them find, or you let them explore and they say, I like baseball, or I want to be a football player, or I want to do art, that kind of thing, and then you find them places to craft that?
Well, we first encourage them to think about what they want to do, and a lot of the families haven't even had that discussion because they didn't have the financial means to do so, or because they're still just in reaction to the grief and the loss. But we encourage them to think about what do they really want to do? Where do their interests lie? A lot of times we see kids that find an interest that their parent had. They want to have a connection to them. So if their dad played guitar, a lot of the kids want to play guitar. But it varies. And we say, find your thing, and then we make the connection to the activity provider that the parent chooses, because we want the parent to find who they feel comfortable sending their children to and what provider in their hometown they can get back and forth to. So they work out what's the best fit for them. And then when they tell us, we connect directly with the activity provider and register the child and make the payments for their activities directly to that activity provider to take that burden off the parent.
It's such a beautiful, in tragedy, beauty. When I went to your Angel Gala, you had several of the children go up and perform what they've been doing. So we had a hula dancer, we had a concert pianist, we had hockey players, we had a singer. I mean, there were so many gifts being shared with the audience, and being so thankful for having someone help direct them. That there was a brother and sister team that were speaking together, and they were so young when they lost their father. And now they've grown up and they're helping other people as they share their story of going into grief and getting lost when they've lost their loved one. So if those of you who are out there watching right now from across the world, and you've lost someone and you feel that grief, one, understand grief is normal. Number two, what Joe and his Angels group have helped other people find and children find is a purpose to fill their hearts when they're in pain, instead of wallowing in the darkness and getting lost in it. And as this little boy not little boy anymore, young man and young woman shared, they were going into dark paths. He was going into a dark path because he was so confused and lost and hurt. So think about what those things are that when you get into those dark places, go find help and find something that feeds your soul so you can come back alive. And we'll share later a video of what Angels of America Fallen does. But right now, we're still talking about what is Angels of America's Fallen and how Joe came to be, because he's a military man who's been a full career. And then his mental shift was there's a missing piece. I've lost too many friends who have young children who've never even known them. There's a missing piece where aren't being served, where we're just letting these people and their children just drop. And I'm not going to let that piece be empty anymore. I'm going to fill it. And he created this nonprofit. And so for those of you watching, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you heard of anything like Angels of America's Fallen in your country or any country you've been in? I've never heard of an organization that goes and takes care of the children of those who've passed serving the country. And I see that as, that's why every time I see you, Joe, I smile like stupid smile, because I'm so excited that you fill that gap. As a military spouse myself, I mean, we've had friends who didn't come back, and their spouse and their children just got, poof, they were gone, kicked off the base. They were just gone. And you didn't know how to find them anymore. And then as we got older and I moved to Colorado Springs, working with the outreach ministries, there would be young women with their children at the shelters because their spouse didn't sign up for some military benefit and they had nothing. And I'm thinking, one small move and that could have been me. One small move and that could have been my best friend, or my neighbor. And to know that someone like you saw a gap and went, we've got to fill that gap. I encourage those of you who are watching and who listen to the rest of this story for the next 30 minutes. We're going to go to commercial and then we're going to have more talking with Joe. Is look in your community. What have you seen and you realize there's a gap, but you think someone else is going to do it? Perhaps you are that filler for that gap. Let us go to our first commercial, and when we come back, we'll share a video of what Angels of America's Fallen is all about. So stay tuned, share this live stream, because if you're in the United States, you really want to be connected somehow to Angels. And if you're overseas, you might want to figure out how to make this happen in your world too. So stay tuned and share the live stream. We'll be right back after this commercial. Well, hello. You're watching Mental Shift. My name is Michelle Mras, and the following shows I'm giving you are the live streams that are brought on by TNC, but they're all given in Philippine time. So we're inviting you to watch all of our shows and replays, as in U-Turn, TNC The Talk, Awesome Day, The Home Buyer, Pappet Stories, Mondays at 5:30 p.m., The Big Picture, Mondays to Fridays at 7:15 p.m. The Millennial Voice, Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Foreign Affairs, Tuesdays at 10:30 a.m. HR Hotline, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at noon. Moving on Business, Well Home, Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Money and More, Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. Philippines and 5:30 a.m. USA. And then Cybernext. Check out our page on Facebook or YouTube by searching TNC Now. It's hashtag TNC Now. And enjoy these inspiring shows because we made them for you. Welcome back. And we're going to play our video for Angels of America's Fallen so you can learn a little bit more about what they do. Thank you.
You're probably familiar with the phrase, all gave some gave all. But what you might not be familiar with is that the children of our fallen continue to give and sacrifice. Hi, I'm Joe Lewis, founder and CEO of Angels of America's Fallen. Throughout my 25 years in the military, I lost a lot of good friends, and I was concerned how their children were going to grow and develop. Out of reverence for our heroes and concern for their children, Angels of America's Fallen was formed. Our model is simple. We engage children of our fallen military and first responders in healthy developmental activities with a coach or a mentor, an activity the child chooses as their individual passion to pursue. We support children like Emma, whose Army father passed when she was just 4 months old. Now, Emma is thriving in dance. Angels of America's Fallen is unique in that we pay for the child's activity from the time of loss all the way up through 18 years old. We're designed to empower and reach each child where they are and adapt and adjust as their location or interests change over time. Our mission is to see them write their own stories of success. Stories like Ryan, who tried multiple sports before finding his true love in Taekwondo, an activity he and his mom can do together. The sacrifice for families of our fallen is ongoing, and our commitment to them should be ongoing as well. The need is great, and you can make an immeasurable difference with a financial gift today. They gave all for our legacy. Will you stand with me in giving back to theirs?
Help support more kids like me and me.
Welcome back. My name is Michelle Mras, and you're watching Mental Shift. And tonight, my guest is Joe Lewis. He founded something called Angels of America's Fallen. You just watched that video, changing the lives of children who've already gone through such tragedy of losing a parent. And now they can find their passion in a sport or learning piano or dancing, anything like that. And what Angels does, the organization has donations come in, and they use that money to help foster this child, really, and give them good role models for them to follow. And what's beautiful about that is this is all happening through the love and the compassion of a man who saw a gap in his world. He realized that there were people being dropped between the cracks, basically getting lost in the cracks when soldiers and police officers and firemen and anyone serving their country, America, when they pass away, their children get lost. And he's got this waiting list. And if you know anyone who is going through something like this, I mean, America's pretty big. You can go to Angels of America's Fallen, AOAFallen.org, and you can nominate them. There's a list. So if you're going to want to do this, you want to do it sooner than later, and there is a waiting list. But be able to go there and find out more about them, donate to help other children, and maybe connect that family to Angels of America's Fallen so they can at least get some advice or guidance in the tragedy that they're currently experiencing. And if Joe's available, maybe we can get him back on the air. There you are.
Of course.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say, again, thank you. And then that's a beautiful video. And do you have a donation button also on AOAFallen.org?
Yes, we do. We absolutely do. Yes.
Okay. And then I forgot what I was going to say. I was like, they can donate from anywhere in the world, right?
They can. Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what I was like, my brain just short circuited. I'm like, Well, I'm thinking that there's a lot of military around the world who would like to be part of this, and maybe they haven't heard of it yet, and here they are watching, doing, really, that happened? That's what, I wanted them to know that they can still go to AOAFallen.org and contribute and help make a difference in a child's life.
Yes.
Because those of us in the military, we've all probably lost someone throughout the years, especially those of us who have been there for a while. Yes, there it is, honoring our fallen, supporting their children's dreams. And there's a donate button. Thank you so much for doing that. Our crew in the back, man, they're amazing.
They're on it. Yes.
They're always on it. They're on it more than we are. And what's so amazing, what it was, I want to ask you, when you first started this, did you find just a random family you heard about it, or was it someone that you knew personally that was your first client with Angels?
It was really interesting. I was talking to someone at church about this organization that I was building, and we hadn't launched yet officially. And he said, well, there's somebody I know you really should meet. And it was the wife of the first chaplain to pass in combat since Vietnam. And she was moving into his neighborhood and had 3 young sons. And when I heard about them, I thought, oh, they've got to be the first kids that we support. And so I met them at a restaurant, just a local restaurant, because we didn't have any space or anything yet, and told them, here's what I'm doing. I haven't launched it yet, but I'd like to get started, and I just want to pay for your kids' activities. So I just paid for her 3 sons to do swimming lessons. And the youngest one was so small that he did mommy and me swim lessons. But I wanted to get them going right away. And so that's how we found them, was really through a connection from church. And with it being the 3 sons of the first chaplain to pass in combat in a couple of decades, it was an honor to be able to support them.
Wow. Now, that's awesome. You started before you started.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Was there one that was one of your most heart-wrenching? It was really hard for you to be a part of it.
Yes. Oh, wow. Yes. All of these families have a really sad story of loss. That's one of the reasons why we exist and we're enrolling them. But in particular, there was a family. It was an Air Force Master Sergeant who had 6 children, and he had survived multiple combat tours and was killed in a parachute training accident. And his wife registered and had the 6 children, and they went on our waiting list. And a few months later, we were able to move them off the waiting list, and we called to tell them this, and that's normally very positive, very good news. Hey, we can get your 6 kids involved in activities. And the mom said, I only have 5 now. My 2-year-old Lila just drowned. And it absolutely crushed us, because the child was waiting, and I didn't get to her in time, and I couldn't go back and fix it. And ever since we had that first child that did mommy and me swim lessons, anytime we had somebody with infants or younger children, we said, let's get them started in swimming. Let's get that life safety skill started early. And in this case, with 2-year-old Lila, that didn't happen. So for the mom, she lost her husband, and just 13 months later, she lost her 2-year-old to drowning. And it really was a very difficult thing for me to get my head around, that we didn't expand fast enough to make a difference in Lila's life. But I wanted to do something about it, and I didn't have the budget to do anything more and bring more kids off the waiting list. But I called the mother, Alyssa, and I told her that I didn't have the budget for this, but I wanted to try to convince swimming centers to give basic life safety swim lessons to children of our fallen, including those on our waiting list, so that we could hopefully avoid hearing this again. And Alyssa was very moved by that, and she came up with a name, Lessons from Lila. So we launched that initiative, and we got all the children that were on our waiting list at the time into swimming lessons, and those kids that we were already supporting. Let's say that they chose basketball or some other sport or singing as their primary focus. We said, that's great. We'll keep going in your primary thing, but if you don't know how to swim, let's get you swimming lessons too.
I met her. I met that family at the swimming pool convention that she came and spoke with, because I was the MC that night. And I had the honor of meeting the children that were with her, and Lila. Yeah, that was definitely a powerful, painful lesson to learn.
Yes.
But as the mom says, the baby, she would have loved this. She loves swimming, and she'd be so happy to see everybody swimming. And it was beautiful and painful to watch that, because then I saw Lila's siblings running around and wanting to go to the pool, and it was bittersweet.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that the Swimming Pool Foundation had conspired with you to do that, and that hopefully that there are other organizations that will come alongside you and do more things like that. I mean, you are giving hope for those who are young, who are looking around at a world, who feel hopeless already. And then when they lose a parent, they think there is nothing left. Why? And so it's good that there's so many options for them. Was that no holds bar, right, Joe?
That's right.
Yeah, nothing. I want to learn how to skydive. Okay, well, let's go figure that out.
Yeah, and it's great because we've seen children do baking lessons, or we've got a girl here in Colorado Springs that does hula dancing, and she's not even Hawaiian, but that is her thing, and we love seeing them find their thing, no matter what that is. And if they have to try multiple events or activities to find what's the best fit for them, we support them in that. And it's a very positive, focused approach to this. We honor their loss and sacrifice, but we don't focus on the grief. We focus on positives and possibilities for the children to find their way and write their own story of success.
Yes. And you focus on what would that parent have wanted. They wouldn't have wanted them to suffer. They were giving their lives for their country. Okay, not for their children to not want to live anymore, or to go down a path of not giving and loving life. And so you've helped them find their avenues to find joy. If you ever get a chance, if you ever want to fly into Colorado for the Angels Gala, you need to go, because the looks on their faces when they're up there sharing what they've learned or what they do, they light up the room. It's beautiful to hear such a tragic story and then see them bloom right before your eyes. And it's like, Angels is making a difference, a big difference. And these children aren't going to grow up and just do, yeah, I was part of this. No, they're going to grow up. They're going to spread. They're going to do more. And they're going to create another nonprofit that's going to do another demographic or join this. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I'm excited. It's just so lovely. And then your gala, hundreds and hundreds of people there, all towards this cause. You have a big auction. And I'm saying all what you do with the gala because the gala I've been to a lot of galas. This is the primo. I mean, it's the best I've ever attended.
Wow. Thank you. And it's because it started with one of our widows. The heart of supporting our families is crucial and key to this. It is a celebration of our families, and we honor the loss and sacrifice, but we celebrate the successes of the children and the moms. And we like to see them connect. And, you're a terrific speaker, and the power of a voice and the change and the benefit that can come from that. Well, there's also healing and helping. And when our kids, we call it our Voices program, actually, when our kids and moms tell their story to help us help other children, they're tearing open wounds to do that, but they grow back stronger, and they're connecting with and helping some of those other families that maybe are newer to this. And they, this one family is further down the road through their grief and their loss. And so they can be a sounding board and a help for our other families. And we do more than just paying for the activities. We're actually connecting their families so they get peer mentoring and engaging them in our Voices program, so that they go and tell their story. And we've seen some really powerful things come out of that. In fact, you talk about seeing the children bloom. I've seen one, a little girl that when she was speaking, she was standing up taller. She was absolutely growing in that process, and you could see it in her posture.
Oh, big time. I mean, that's why I'm a speaker coach. I went into teaching other people how to tell their story, because I've met so many executives and, professionals who couldn't get past a certain part in their life. And what I did was I would go into their storyline. It was something major happened in their life as a child that blocked them from everything else that they think they wanted. And so every time they got close, they would stop because that tragedy in their youth. And that's why I smile when I see you and I hear about Angels, is because you're approaching people before I can ever get to them. When I get to them, it's a hard process because it's 40 years of pain. You're catching them while they're in the pain and they can address it. By the time I get to them, they've created a whole new scenario, removed pieces out of that story and I don't remember why I did that. It's because they erased it because it was too painful. And that's part of storytelling. That's why I help people with their story, is because one, it opens your heart to be truly yourself. And you stop hiding behind the fear of what might happen or what did happen. And by sharing the story and being able to get it out of you, it moves from an emotional state to a storyline. You still have the emotion, but it doesn't rip you apart like it does when it's new.
That's really insightful. That's something I had not thought about it in those terms, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's why I'm such a big believer in all that.
We love seeing them grow and expand, push their boundaries, and like you mentioned at the gala, seeing the look on their face when they're in front of a large crowd and they're performing and they get that standing ovation because they all are so good, I promise we didn't pick just the best ones. That we just see tremendous growth in the kids. They start, some of them have never done this activity at all. Some of them were doing it before and had to stop. Some of them have been able to expand and go on to the travel team or the higher level within their sport. And we've even had some graduates that have gone on to get college scholarships in their sports. So it is something that when people donate, they are having a positive, long-lasting impact in these children's lives.
Most definitely. We have a couple other people who say hi. Marcel, Maria, and then, Brian from Denim and Pearls. And I can't see past my microphone, so I can't see the rest of them. But thank you, everyone, for joining us live. This is Joe Lewis. He is the founder and CEO of Angels of America's Fallen. So if you're watching and you know of anyone, or you just want to share it, which would be awesome, share the live stream now. Because, yes, very grateful to all of those who have served for our freedoms. And when you get locked up in, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, it's easy to forget how free we are to be free and what people have to give. And when we say give their lives or give up, we're not just saying those who were actively, fighting wars. These are people who are fighting wars in their heads too. These are people who are doing firefights. These are people who ran and protected someone else that got a bullet. We don't know. Hey, Jan, hi. And so she's one of your spouses.
She's the one that started the Angel Game.
She is.
Yes.
And it's gorgeous and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And she is also a wedding planner, so you might want to look her up, by the way.
Yeah, she's great. She
is.
I highly recommend her.
I highly recommend her too. And so that's the whole thing about being able to turn on the lights of people. I do it through storytelling and helping people craft their story. You do it with the children through activities and also crafting their story. Why is this so important? And I'm talking to the audience right now. Why is it so important? It's important to find who you are. If you watch me or hear me, I talk about be the best version of you. Know your why. Know what sets you on fire. What makes you smile. Because in times of stress, like these children and these spouses go through, in times of stress, you must find the one or several things that light you up and makes you remember why you're alive. If you don't know what that is, when trauma hits, when bad things hit you in your life, like with me, with my brain injury and breast cancer, you would crumble. And that's why it's important to have something you can reach to and do, okay, I'm getting lost in my thoughts. I need X. That is why we talk about learning your story, knowing who you are, and finding something that you're passionate about that isn't your 9-to-5 job. If it's your 9-to-5 job, that's great, because that's what Joe does and that's what I do. Our 9-to-5 job is something we love, we breathe, we can do it in our sleep because we love it so much. That is our passion. If you're in that line, great. If not, you need to find what your passion is and why you love doing whatever that is. Because when in times of stress, it's when you need to go focus on those kind of things. And that's what Joe brought to these children and to the spouses, because the spouses who are left in that trauma state, they're worried about their own mind, but then they have to take care of their children first. What do spouses do when they're alone and they've lost their spouse. They stop worrying about themselves and they only worry about the children. Then you lose the parent. Child doesn't need to lose another parent. That's why it's so important to do what Joe does with Angels of America's Fallen. He is serving the need not just for the children, but for the remaining parent, so that the remaining parent has a chance to find themselves again in the time of loss.
We've seen the connection between our widows, and we've seen some really amazing things that we didn't know to expect. But when we get our families together, the children just instantly click and they play. And the moms have developed some strong coping skills, a lot of them with a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So when we get our families together, there's a lot of laughter and there's a lot of sharing of stories and experiences and things to help these other ones grow, because you're absolutely right. They do put off taking care of themselves and immediately take care of their child as their first priority. And then sometimes years later, they have a lot of difficulty because they haven't resolved their own grief and loss and post-traumatic stress, because some of our families have very much been through that when their loved one comes home and then passes from an illness or unfortunately the suicides and things like that. So it can be very traumatic for the families, and it's not just their loved one that made a sacrifice. Their sacrifice is continuing for the spouse and for the children.
Oh, majorly. Oh, and Emma's there too. Emma says hi.
Yes, yeah. And so Emma was in that video too. She was the little girl at the end that was twirling around doing the dancing. So she started in dance really young with us, and she is in competitive dance now, and she is amazing and performed at our gala last year and sang the national anthem for us. So a lot of talent and just a lot of goodness to see. That's the great thing about this, is seeing the children bloom, and you never know what they're going to go forward to do. And seeing them connect with other people and become more confident and outgoing, and ultimately that will lead to being more successful in many areas.
Oh, and you've ignited a passion in them, and that's what happens. Is it becomes this domino effect of growth, and that's what's so beautiful about it. Is was that when bad things happen, but there's so much beauty coming out of this, and that's the lovely part of it. And there's a woman here that said hello, Joe, earlier. Her name's Helene. I'm her chemo buddy. So we do the same thing in our cancer journeys. When you put us all together, there's a lot of laughter. From the outside, people are like, how are you laughing? You all have death sentences and you're in chemo. But we get together and it's like we can commiserate with people who understand where we are. So there's a lot of laughter because we make fun of the things that people outside would do. I can't believe you just said that. No, we're laughing because we're in it. And so it's so good to have a group and a group of people together that you can work with for the parents, and then for the children to have, I feel sad sometimes too. Well, me too. Where I feel guilty because I did this. Well, me too. And there's just this synergy among those of us who go through different tragedies together. Not together, but at the same time, we understand each other. Now, it is time for our second commercial. And for those of you who are watching, hey, hi, Rich. Rich sure just jumped on. Please share the live stream. What Angels of America's Fallen is doing is life-changing. So please share this live stream. They are always looking for more people to contribute to this cause, because there are a lot of children out there. There's a huge waiting list, but they can't get to them until they get the funds in order to serve them. So go to AOAFallen.org, angelsofAmericasFallen.org. Thank you. And go to that donation button, because anything, a little bit helps. I mean, it's $50 piano lessons. I don't know what it is, but give what you can or what your heart tells you to, because it is going to a good cause. We'll be right back after this commercial. And when we come back from the commercial, we'll talk a little bit deeper into, maybe what you can do in your world when you see a gap that's missing. So stay tuned after this commercial. Please share the live stream, and we'll be right back. Hello, my name is Michelle Mras, and you are watching Mental Shift. And stay tuned. I'm about to give you a list of all of the live stream and replay shows here on TNC Philippine Time. Keep this in mind. We have Healthline, Couple Goals, Win Within Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m., Market Leader, TNC Express Thursdays at 11 a.m., YOLA Thursdays at 8:30 p.m., Negosio at Home Fridays at noon, Tech U, TNC Marketplace Fridays and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m., COVID Stories Saturdays at 10:30 a.m., Realty Realities Saturdays at 4 p.m., Danny Art Show, After Shift, Women at Work, The Family Business, Usapang Beauty, The Fourth Project, and also catch the TNC specials, which are One Day, TNC Arena, TNC PressCon, and TNC Town Hall, which are on Saturdays at 7 p.m., co-hosted by the TNC founders Lloyd and Apple. And Town Hall is where we talk to you, our valued audience. And remember, it's never too late for a mental shift. That's Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, USA. You're watching us right now. Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. Philippine time. And I thank you so much for joining us and for sharing these live streams. And for more upcoming shows, follow the hashtag TNC Now on Facebook and YouTube and allow your passion to inspire you so that together let us hashtag see the new you. And I just noticed something. Rich sure jumped on, and he was my very first guest on my very first show of Mental Shift here on TNC. So he's my number one guest. So Joe, come back on. Say hi to me.
Hi.
Hi. Well, before we start talking, for those of you who just joined or just shared this live stream, I want to show the AOAFallen.org website and how to get to the donation button. Can you show that screen that you showed earlier? Because no matter where you are in the world, you can go to AOAFallen.org and do a contribution. And, it could be for, I don't know, a piano lesson or whatever you want to do. But if you can show that screen, that would be phenomenal so they can see that there is a donation site on the website. And we'd like you and encourage you to go there and do that now. And maybe we won't be able to see it because no one's moving. Okay, well, we'll just keep going then. If you do get to it, pop it on and we'll just move to the side. So if you're watching this and you're like, what is Angels of America's Fallen? Go to AOAFallen.org. Basically, they're giving second chances, life, guidance, activities for children to have a healthy and guidance through a coach or an instructor of a positive experience in their in their youthhood. And they take care of children from, I would say from infant, because you were doing the mommy and me swim lessons,
Yes.
to 18 years old.
Yeah, we want to make sure we get them all the way up and through high school and not have them cut off in the middle of their senior activities or something like that. So we once they're enrolled, we're with them all the way up until 19, so through their 18th year. And that's the really neat thing, is because we get to know them over time and we see the improvements and we see them start something and maybe excel at it and then choose something completely different and go crazy with that. And so it's really neat.
Really fun.
Yes.
Fun
and that's
to
what it
watch.
seems to be about, because it's not about the grief. It's not about the loss. It's about finding their place in this world and finding how to excel and doing that as an individual, not just growing up in the shadow of a fallen hero, but going out there and finding their own light.
Mm-hmm. And wow. So you started in 2013. What's the longest you've had a child with you? I mean,
yeah, actually, we have the first three boys that I mentioned before. The youngest of them is still with us. The other two have now gone and graduated out. And, it's interesting. They both ended up doing music afterwards as well and performed at our gala too, playing piano and cello together, which was really, really neat to see. They both have continued with music. And so now even into college for one of them, and the other one is heading there now. So, so we've had one little boy that's been with us so far the whole time.
That's beautiful. I mean, and it's a close-knit family too, because once they're together, you go to their games, you go to their, I've seen you do things like that where you go and you're there.
That's one of the best things about this job is going to those things. And, like going to Emma's dance recital, that's something that is so much it's so much fun and positive that in this busy world with so many threats and all kinds of things that are very distracting, I think even if you don't have children, it's probably a great idea to go to young kids' performances just to go and see the goodness that's there.
And to remember that goodness still exists.
Yes, and that's an important part too for the children whose parent was killed and they lost their parent because of the actions of a bad person. It's important to know that there are very good people out there that care about them, and there are people that are donating so they can do their dream, pursue their dreams and follow their passions. And we make it, a big point. That's one of the things in the welcome letter that gets sent to all the children when they register. I want them to know that there are good people that care about them. And that's an important thing in today's world.
Yes. And yeah, well, it's important for all of us to remember there are good people. Keep
Yes.
that in mind. Audience, if you're you are watching. I see you watching. If you're listening and you start wondering, is there any good left? Remember there is. And I mean, here's a good example. Look at Joe. Look at what he started. There's a gap. He saw it. He filled it. And he didn't know what he was doing. He had 25 years in the military. He's like, I'm going to start this nonprofit. I'm going to make this happen. He didn't know what he was doing, but here it is. If you research it, it has gone from one man to a team, to a gala, to it's exponentially grown in a very short time. Why? Because it was needed. So if you see a gap and you see a need, have faith that it will grow because it is needed. Just like Joe did. He took a big step into the dark for something that does not exist to make it exist.
And there was a lot of positives that I've received from doing that. I didn't have the background to do this, so I went to college. I got a master's degree in public administration, and that's something I would have never thought about before whatsoever. But for this, the cause is so much bigger than me, and it needs to be done properly, and it needs to outlast me because the problem is going to outlast me. I wanted to go do that, but the connections that I made through that process, and I would not have gone back for additional education if it weren't for this, has turned out to be something really empowering for me. And it's not about me, but it's interesting. I definitely have benefited from pursuing something that was outside of my comfort zone. So I would encourage people out there, if you've got the heart for it, you can get the knowledge and you can make it happen.
Yeah. I talk about comfort zones all the time. Comfort zones are meant to be broken, okay? Comfort zones are not meant to stay. It's because you go there when you need to be comforted, but in order to make things happen, you must move. When I did my TEDx, it's the differences between a rut and a grave are the dimensions. Quote by Ellen Glasgow. If you want to see something different, you must do something different. Joe saw a need for something different. He, in turn, did something different. What can you do in your community? And I asked at the very beginning of the show, have you seen or heard of anything like Angels of America's Fallen in your country, in your state, in your city? If you are in Colorado Springs or Denver or anywhere in Colorado, you probably heard of Angels, okay? But if you're outside of Colorado and you're not attached or connected to someone who's been served by Angels, you probably have never heard of it. And so take a peek around your town or your city, your whatever, your country, and see if there's anything like that exists. And if it's in your heart, repeat the process. Reach out to Joe and say, what did you do? Because we need to help more people in the world. Joe started it. One little man in one little town started this. One man. You can do it too, if it's calling to you, if it's the need needs to be filled in your world. Make it happen. Anyways, that was my little preaching, standing on the podium thing, because it's a very close, passionate subject of mine that you do, and it's very close to my heart. I can't even talk about it without crying, so I don't tend to talk about it. So maybe I should go to your class and talk about it. But we've all gone through a lot of different types of stressors in our lives, and I know you've gone through, because that's really what triggered all of this, losing your friends. And what I guess it's going to be a weird question. Angels helps the children. Do you have like connections for like counselors and things like that? Is that part of your services?
It's not part of our services, but it's something that we wanted to know what's available for our families so we can refer them to those things that we don't do. You know, the need in this one area that we serve far exceeds our capability to fulfill it at this point. So there's no reason for us to start doing anything else until we've completely covered the entire need for getting kids in these positive activities. But we know that the families benefit from counseling and from other types of things that we don't do. So yeah, we've networked with every other organization that I'm aware of that exists that provides something that our families can do. And we want to make sure that they know about that. And we've partnered with quite a few of them.
Okay. Now, I was just wondering about that. It's like, because you really don't want to put people in to go play if they're not working on their mind stuff too at the same time. It's like, that's kind of a big package together. That's
Yes.
a lot of services.
Yeah, and you know, and they deserve all those different services because they have had a sacrifice that was for the betterment of their country and community, and so we want to see them engage in those things. It's unfortunate sometimes some of the families that fall through the cracks don't qualify for some of the other programs. A big thing for us was that the child had no say in what happened, and so it doesn't matter to the child how they lost their parent. It's still 100% loss of mom or dad. So for us, the cause of death is not a defining factor. If mom or dad served and they gave all, then that's all it takes to qualify, whether that was a combat fatality or an illness or a suicide or, you know, any other kind of thing that may have happened, training accident. It doesn't matter to us. And not every organization applies the same thing, but more and more are. And the counseling in particular, we had a really interesting thing where one of our board members went to work for a large psychiatric practice, and their counselor, one of their counselors, was a Navy widow who lost her husband when she had very young children, and she very much connected with our families. We did a virtual session so that our families all across the country could log in and be a part of that, and it was focused more on the widow taking care of themselves. And it's kind of like when you fly and they say when the oxygen mask drops from the ceiling that the parent should put theirs on first and then take care of their child. And it was that kind of a mindset. And a lot of our families haven't taken the time to do that yet and take care of themselves. But when you help the mother, you help the child. And when you help the child, you help the mother. So it really all works together.
Yeah, it does. And that's what's, my brain just went, the other gap is they need a service for just the remaining spouses.
And there are some great organizations that offer different things. And there's some grief-centered counseling and some suicide survivor camps and things like that, and they all have their place.
Yeah. I thank you, Joe, for answering the call for the gap. Even though you were not equipped for it, you made yourself equipped for it, and that's what I tell my clients and people who listen to me all the time. If there's something that you want done, if it's education, go find it. If it's a YouTube video, go watch it. If it's a couple of books, then do it. You have to surround yourself with people to learn it, then do it. But if it's something that you want done, you really want, make it happen. No one can tell you, except you, that you are ill-equipped. It's your choice. If you feel the need, make it happen. Joe's like, okay, I need another degree. He already did 25 years in the military, lieutenant colonel, retired. He didn't need another degree. He got a degree to make this actively work without him forever. Long-term goals, people. That's a long-term goal, and it's a beautiful long-term goal. So, Joe, in any last words you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, I think when people think about honoring our fallen, they tend not to think about the families that are left behind, and they are left behind. And there's oftentimes there might be some support at the beginning, but shortly after, everybody goes on with their own lives, and that support network may not be there for these families. So I would encourage anybody that wants to be supportive of these families and pay it forward for the sacrifice that was made on their behalf. Connect with us. If your passion is enabling kids to do sports, if you know that sports or music, being in the band or some coach or instructor really had a significant impact in your life, you don't have to have a connection to the military or first responders to understand the value of kids being engaged in sports, arts, and music. If you'd like to help make that happen, we'd love to have you volunteer with us or donate, but just go on our website and connect with us and see if there's a fit for you with us. We'd love to have you. We can only honor the long-term commitment we've made to these kids through the goodness of other people's hearts and then donating. So yes, the small donations absolutely add up, and they make a huge difference. In fact, we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for small donors. So there's a lot of power. Everybody's got some power, whether if you don't have money to donate, but you've got time and you've got a heart and you want to volunteer, or you just want to help us share our message. Go on our website or go on Facebook and share the things, the posts that we make. That's helpful too. So there's a fit for everybody to get engaged. And if it's not with us, then find some other passion, because when you're doing something for other people, it's a lot easier to be satisfied and find real happiness in that. That's a perspective that I certainly learned getting involved in this, is that if I was focused on my accomplishments, I would never accomplish enough. But when I'm focused on seeing someone else achieve their goals, then I just find that that's way more rewarding.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Okay, so you all heard it from Joe. Be a part. Could be a small part, could be a big part. And if it's not with Angels of America's Fallen, then go find the cause that you want to be a part of, to give your heart. Find something. And here's on the Angels of America's Fallen website. So it's AOAFallen.org. Thank you. That's the donation button. You can donate from anywhere in the world. You can make a difference in a child's life by a very small donation to a huge one. Whichever one you want to do, it's great, because don't let more fall through the cracks. He's got a big list of people waiting to come in and be helped with this Angels of America's Fallen, just that whole course. And it's long-term. It's not they come in for a day and leave. It's from that point till they're 18. It's a long time, and they need you. So thank you so much, Joe, for joining us. And please go to the AOAFallen.org page and learn more about these children that they've helped so far and all the different programs that are available. You can sign up from around the United States. And if you're outside of the United States, write them too. If you're an American and you need the help, write them. They can connect you, or you get on the list. But don't wait. If you need something, don't wait. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Please share this live stream, because like Joe said, if it's not a donation of money, maybe it's a donation of sharing the website, sharing this live stream, so that every moment, every minute counts, every dollar counts, every share counts. So thank you so much, Joe, for joining us. And thank you, everyone out there in internet world, whatever that is, for joining us and for sharing the live stream. And we'll see you next week on Mental Shift, Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, Wednesdays at 9:30 a.m. Philippine Time, every Tuesday. So we'll see you for the rest of Mental Shift. And my name is Michelle Mras. See you next week. Be well.